I think keeping our focus on the same subject, ending the perennial fuel scarcity, and to joining us now to do that is Adetokunbo Mumuni, is the Executive Director of SERAP. Thank you so much indeed for coming on the show this time. Now, this is what you said.
Pleasure being here.
You said that you want the President to quickly get the National Assembly to put up laws that will ensure that Nigerians get fuel.
Yes.
No questions asked. Fuel is available to Nigerians at all times. Yes. Have you considered that the process of getting the fuel itself has become a major problem for this country?
Thank you so very much. Let me say that the true essence of government, as stated by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999, is that the primary responsibility of government is the happiness and welfare of citizens. Now, we have a national wealth, oil. It should not be a cost. It should be an advantage towards development, easy life, and progress for Nigerians. But what we have seen, in particular within the last almost 20 years now, is that successive governments in Nigeria have, in a manner of speaking, exploited our natural resources in a manner and way that satisfies only a few to the detriment of the overwhelming majority of Nigerians. So, and to me, a government that cannot meet what will make its people happy and comfortable, to me, is a band of armed robbers.
Don't you think that there are in place already institutions and government agencies that are responsible to meeting that very concern that you've raised in your release?
Yes. What must happen, which is not happening now, is that the wherewithal to make these institutions and agencies work maximally is not being deployed. For example, I would want to say that when there are lapses in the system, and the lapses has been perennial, it has been consistent, it has been persistent, then one should query people operating that system on behalf of government, so that the government will actually know. For example, I listened to a conversation with Mr. Esele. He's talking about that what the NNPC has the capacity to supply is different from what it says it can supply. Now, and once there are discrepancies, the government should look at it clearly. Deploy, for instance, technology, tracking system, so that when fuels are leaving, for instance, Apapa and going to certain parts of Lagos or any other part of Nigeria, it should be closely monitored. For example, I heard that the NNPC is saying, and the marketers are saying, you asked me to come and pick fuel for 171 naira landing costs, and you want me to sell 145 naira. Who takes care of the various discrepancies that are manifesting? So we have to know the truth. And you see, when things will not happen, there will never be scarcity in January, it will not be in March, it will not be in June, it will not be in July, it will always start by end of October, because early November.
Because people are really concerned that, for instance, when we had this kind of situations in the past, and the NNPC itself was underwent some level of reorganization, and with hopes that this will not happen again. Are you saying that the NNPC, for instance, as an organization of government, be again reorganized?
What I'm saying, what I will advocate is that the NNPC should be seriously monitored. You see, we have, for instance, that we hear that the NNPC is not substantially remitting what it should remit to the Federation account. We know that we still believe that there are certain discrepancies going on within the operation of the NNPC. Those must be taken care of if we are to make progress.
By who?
The government.
You know, you're asking that. Yes. You talked about tracking. Yeah. There are those who will argue that when the trackers are put on the vehicles, who's going to monitor the trackers? Human beings, right? When you say the marketers are asked to come and pick up at 170 until at 145, who would handle that discrepancy? Human beings. Yes. You want to send a bill. You put out a statement. You want to send a bill to the National Assembly. You're asking the president to do that.
Yes.
Gimba asked you, have you considered the issues around acquiring these products in the first place? One would think that you should be more interested in the president enforcing the laws that are already as regards the different agencies of government that are supposed to handle different things as regards the petroleum industry and making the product available to the people. Why put up another bill?
You see, when at any point the Constitution of Nigeria is being said to be refocused or amended, we have always, with consistency, advocated and submitted papers, positions to the government that the idea of civil and political rights as the fundamental human right that Nigerians must enjoy, and the socioeconomic rights, which to me is even more important. It is good to have freedom, but bread is so important. Once you have not linked the survival of Nigerians to what they have as a right, when you put them in the form of ideals, as in the socioeconomic right of Nigerians, then we will be scratching the surface, not the substance. For example, when you say, I have a right to life, if I don't have the right to sort things that will make my enjoyment of life so vibrant and important, then we won't take it as serious as, because a lot of other countries like Nigeria were campaigning that, were of the position that insisting that socioeconomic rights should be made compulsory, like in what is in Chapter 4, will cost their nation too much. A lot of countries have moved away from that perspective. They have now, in a manner of speaking, progressively made socioeconomic rights justiciable. So we will be advocating as a starting point that the merger of what is contained in Chapter 2 of the Constitution and what is contained in Chapter 4 should be a whole comprehensive right containing socio-economic, civil and political rights. That makes it a bounding obligation of government to fulfill those rights. For example, I remember that as far back as 1962, the United Nations passed a resolution that whilst a government has the right to exploit the natural resources of its people, it should do it in a manner that would benefit the overwhelming majority of the people. Now we have oil. It is being exploited by successive governments. And what we see is that the way the manner the thing is being exploited gives so much room for an infinite proportion of the population to be so rich at the expense of the majority of the people.
Okay,